1-1. One of these teams goes on to the next round, where I believe they're playing
Complexity Black.
Complexity Black.
That's going to be a tough match either way.
Yeah,
but these teams have shown up today.
And we'll see that next week. Actually, Complexity Black has that LCS promotion spot coming down, so they have that first round bye. And that team is going to be very familiar with some people on it when we show them. Going to be actually
They've had a few swaps around, yeah, but we'll see a couple of them. But
not the same complexity that you would be used to, but still a really good team.
Absolutely. So, bans up. You're right. Nar was off the table. Maokai's still on the table, but they left Rengar up, and Orianna gets insta-locked in for easy this game. So they do go for the takeaway strategy, but that leaves shorter ace on Rengar.
Yeah, Zenith did the same thing last game, taking away other champions. I thought it was a really good strategy coming into it, but then the composition that they made for themselves was really mismatched overall. But ooh, I think, yeah, the Rengar is the absolute right choice to pick because it's going to force BMO onto that J4 that he played last time and is not impressed with his performance. And he can't do the same type of moves level 2 or 3. And yeah, they definitely want to pinch the Maokai earlier than that. You don't have to pick your jungler at this point because they already locked in theirs. They're not going to lock in like Rengar top and then throw this somewhere else.
Solo King on Maokai should be a pretty solid combination.
Well,
I'm a little bit... Prototype and Rule 18, they had decent positioning, but so many times was Rule 18 caught out on this Janna. He has the speed boost, but you'd think they might go for something a little bit tankier to counteract that. Not really prioritizing it, it seems.
Yeah, and right now Zenith kind of has almost the same composition that F5 had last game, except they have a Jarvan
They've
now.
swapped sides and champions.
Yeah, the Jarvan, you know, Nemo's still sticking with that. He had that last game as opposed to the Nocturne that Shorter Ace had. But now Shorter Ace is going to have his Rengar, which is one of his top 2 champions right behind his Lee Sin. This guy makes Lee Sin highlights all the time. If you watch Scar's stream, sometimes you run into him. He's just on the other team, and Scar's just like, what is he doing? Oh my, how did he do that?
Yep. And then, well, he's been pretty impressive so far, but it looks like they will prioritize the Jinx again on Prototype. They're hovering right now on the Katarina, and this would be an interesting pick composition, but there's a lack of protection there, and I think this makes more sense for Gate going over on Twisted Fate.
Well, not just for the namesake on Destiny Gate on the Ultimate. He's really familiar with that champion. It looks like he is going to bring the Flash and Ghost, which is a really good kind of combination there. We saw it from Link a bunch in the LCS. We saw it in Korea a whole bunch. You know, Dandy's really big on that on pretty much every champion that he played. Or, sorry, Dade.
Yeah,
Dade.
but
Dade, Dandy. There's just a bunch of D's, Nays.
There are quite a lot of D's.
And a Y sound at the end.
Exactly. This is not the worst choice too for laning phase because, you know, TF has a little bit of a rough lane sometimes because he has one less ability to bring to the field. But against Orianna, the safest laner, the safest mid laner in the game, it's not really a problem. You're not going to worry about too much action there in general. And then the Sivir choice on Zenith's side too is also an interesting thing because they have a lot of gap close and lockdown. One thing I wanted to mention too was the fact that the Orianna combos up with Jarvan this time. So they have almost, they're like kind of reversing their styles.
Yeah, and I hope he goes with the that last lock-in Sion there for top lane for Rux, because Sion is actually an extremely potent top laner at this point in the game because you just get Soul Furnace and then you just max your E first, your Roar of the Slayer, and you just use it on the first minion as they're coming up, and you just push that first one all the way through all the others, and it does bonus damage to them.
Yeah, and so if you get any champions caught by that as well, a little bit extra. Yeah, the new Sion has been incredibly potent, not just in solo queue. We've seen a lot of top lane players playing it almost incessantly, and the map presence he brings with his ultimate, the charge, is very, very effective. So they're really thinking about this one, and it would be interesting to see that up against the Maokai in the top lane.
Yeah, it'd pretty much be a back-and-forth fight there, and I think he's going to go with it, and I really hope he does, because this composition, you know, there's a lot of, like, engage here, there's disengage, there's pick. They do a little bit of everything, which is sometimes bad, but they're not going with another 5v5 team comp. Instead, Zenith's doing that. Zenith has this 5v5 team composition where they want to group up, and Zenith have done a much better job of playing 5v5 compositions or playing 5v5 fights because they're always grouped in the mid game. They're never like split pushing unless it's Frost getting something that he knows he can get.
Yeah. Well, and you know, having a Jinx has been actually the most contested kind of thing this game, and now back on Prototype. He didn't have as much luck on it as Frost did, but he's still a pretty solid mechanical player. They have a lot of chase. It seems like they're a little bit more all in, though. You look at Final 5 across the board, they're going to either get in and get kills or get wiped.
Yeah, that's a really big problem there. But at the same time, I think that they're dragging control of Zenith. They've been doing it so well with whatever composition they had. Now they have a composition that is suited to that and suited to fighting around it. I think that's going to be a big thing for them. And I think they might just try. If they don't play to that strength, then it's a problem. But if they do play to that strength, it's going to be fantastic. So a lot of this is on Shorter Ace to shut down that early game. and then also their engages and disengages later. Because they can reset a fight, right? They have the Janna. If you engage on them, they're just like, all right, let's push this back, let's reset the fight, and then they can choose when to engage after that.
I just have to make sure they don't get caught before that all happens, but we'll see. We are locked in picks and bans again. Everybody, you've been watching this series. What do you think? Let us know. We want to know your information. Tweet us at LOL eSports using the hashtag LCS expansion. Let us know who you think have been the big highlight players and your predictions going forward. And we will be getting into the game in just a moment to find out what of these two teams will be going on. I mean, it's so hard to call this. They're so back and forth.
Yeah, they're really back and forth, and I think it all comes down to they set themselves up in Champion Select. And no game is really decided in Champion Select. You can set yourself up for your win conditions, but then what happens from there? Because we saw a really good team composition from Final 5 in the first game, but they didn't play to their strength. They didn't play to that team composition. Like, you don't win if you just pick one champion. You're like, oh, it's OP, we win. It's how do you use these things? Do you actually play them appropriately, correctly, and do you adjust to the situation? Do you adjust to what your opponent are doing? And right now, F5, they have a lot of cards on the table, and it's kind of like we can pick and choose what we want to do, but they have to have clear calling to do that. Whereas Zenith, you pretty much just have to go. That's all they have to do is just go. This is a very forward momentum, forward fighting team.
Yeah, and they're actually going to get spotted out here. Final 5 is, rather. And Roulette Team, he may not go down, but he is leading the charge and takes a bit of a sapling toss to the face as they look to make some early plays towards this blue, getting a little bit extra vision out. But again, this entire series, Zenith has been playing this defensive line of scrimmage. They've had a couple delayed moves, but they've been doing everything they can to throw Final 5 off. These two teams, they know each other very intricately, and you can tell they've done their homework.
Yeah, I think there's a little story about that, too, where a lot of members on Zenith had been on Final 5s for some tryouts at some point. Like, they had just been rotating through them.
Yeah, they've had kind of the managers and team players and the coaches have kind of worked with both these players, or both these teams' players, in different regards. So they've kind of seen them shuffle back and forth quite a lot. And it makes for an interesting matchup when you have so much cross-pollination that you're able to know what the enemy team, or at least what some of the players are going to be doing frequently.
Cross-pollination?
Oh, yeah. Industry term.
Sleeping with the enemy.
Oh, well. When you put it that way. Fraternizing.
Yeah. At the same time, though, we do have Rux in the top lane. And I want to keep an eye on this Sion because we haven't seen one yet in a competitive play in terms of like LCS things. So right now,
it's the first time.
Yeah, he's got the
starting the Ruby Crystal.
Ruby Crystal, which will help him in terms of maximum HP for his W, his Soul Furnace.
Yeah, and he's definitely an interesting champion with the way his new kit works out. So
also keeps him alive a little longer too during his passive.
Yeah, and it gives him not just sustain, but able to deal the damage based on the max HP, of course, of the enemy. So Solo King might have a rough time the longer that goes on. All the same, we're going to see normal lanes. They did get some deep wards to spot that out, but also, you know, I'm interested to see where these junglers do go to begin this one, because Shorter Ace, you know, he could make early plays, but we don't typically see that from Rengars. He's a little bit different, though.
He's going for it.
He wants
He got a level in the Bola, and he's going to try to jump this.
Oh, wow. This would be so unexpected. They got the gold card out. They get the Bola. They get the combo. They might get first blood. They get a flash at least, and they do. It's going over to Gate. Mimo coming in a little bit too late. Another one. They could answer back for more. Not quite enough, and Mimo... Ooh, that's going to mess up your jungle day.
Yeah. Oh, man. That card was yellow. It's bad for a fellow. Then he goes straight for it afterwards. Really good play there from Shorter Ace. This is why you don't give him Rengar or Lee Sin. His early aggression on those champions and his comfortability on them is ridiculous.
Yeah, and you can already see Rux on that Sion making huge waves against Solo King. What a massive amount of damage he's able to do and sustain up incredibly through it. So this is pretty big across the board for Final 5. They start out hot and heavy, and they really, you know, a level 2 Rengar gank, we don't see that very often.
Oh yeah, he's probably, you know, Zenith is probably sitting there going, who does that anymore? This isn't Season 3.
Yep, it's preseason, actually. Yeah. So here we go.
Not yet, not yet.
Uh-oh.
Still Season 4.
Bubble catch, Prototype, he's in a little bit of trouble. We've seen this matchup before, forced to heal away, or rather, Roulette Team is forced to heal, so since he doesn't take it, he has his support to it.
Yeah.
He does like the Summoner spell, he just doesn't like to have it. And round 2.
Here it is.
Here we go. Bullet combo with the gold card. They keep going. Easy. No flash this time. No escape. And one more hit would do it if he gets it. And he does. Style.
And that yellow card hit just sounded like money there. Ching.
Quite a bit as he picks that one up. 2 kills on the game right now for Gate. And he is looking pretty strong. So the rougher part for Final 5 has been this bot side, but Prototype's still able to answer back the damage as well. That 3% lifesteal on his Doran's Blade, definitely helping out as he pokes as many minions down as he can.
We're just seeing a complete swap over the course of this series. Shorter Ace, you know, he has some nerves sometimes. That first game, he was definitely put on edge with those picks. And then game 2, he's like, okay, I can handle this. I'm on Nocturne. They ban away his Nocturne as well. They leave up the Rengar because they don't want to deal with the Nocturne. And so he gets it, and now they're probably thinking, I don't know, like, just, there's a reason you banned this champion from him.
Yeah, and I think when you get into these long series, even if it's been only 2 games up till now, they've been longer times, it's easy to forget in the heat of the moment that, oh, I should ban away this champion all the time.
Here he comes again.
What you see, yeah, he's feeling a ton of map pressure right now. Frost, they have to know something's up. The aggression is on. They get K1. He's going to. He does wait. The bubble's on, so he's taking a couple tower shots. This could get turned around for a moment, but he gets the bullet on the outside, so no damage done to him after the fact. But in the mid lane, well, they comboed up and answered right on back, so Gate's going to get almost shut down. Yeah,
Gate had something going for him there in terms of experience. He's going to miss out all of this, though. Those 2 ganks got him ahead of experience, which means he would have had a really early level 6, and that would have been exactly what he needed to start snowballing this game even harder. With the good gank there from Mimo, and now the roam from him top, because he knows where Shorter Ace was. Down on that bottom side, really low on HP, so he has to back, and there's definitely timers on him.
Yep, seemed like a little bit greedy there just to try and pick that off. They didn't have the vision, so it was almost just kind of a game sense thing that enabled Zenith to escape from that one. And then, of course, Mimo is kind of starting answering back, too. So he had a little bit of a rough early start, but at 5 minutes in, Zenith's not looking too shabby off the back of that gank.
Rux isn't maxing the E, he's maxing the Q in this one.
Yeah.
So a lot of people that I've watched go with the E max because of the damage to minions and the slow. It goes from 40% to 60%, but he's maxing the Q, which doesn't increase in terms of CC duration or anything like that. As you rank it up, it just increases in damage and decreases in cooldown. So he's just looking to try and wave clear a little bit and possibly do some damage to the Solo King. But I don't know if that's optimal.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. We haven't really seen a ton about New Scion aside from in the scrims and in the solo queue to really know how he falls into this meta, but he's clearly a force to be reckoned with. And he's been able to do a lot of damage to Solo King, if not take him down, even in this early game. So, you know, again, as long as you're able to keep him occupied, he might like that, but if he can't kill you, it's all right.
Bax gets himself a catalyst, and look at this. F5. Mimo's going to back. There's no smite available in that area, and they pushed him out. And that's going to be a dragon for Final 5. This is the first dragon they've taken as the first one in the game.
Yeah, and nobody would expect that. Zenith's been totally controlling it, but this time more proactive on the side of Final 5. They grab themselves a little bit of that gold and get themselves a nice little lead to start this one off. And they don't even reel anything. They, you know, it wasn't even obvious that they did it.
Yeah, they didn't lose anything for it. I'm trying to find a better way to phrase that. It's the first time they've taken the first dragon of the game. There we go.
It
wasn't their first dragon.
Probably, yeah. I think it actually was their second or third dragon.
Yeah, it's their second or third dragon, but it's the first one they've taken as the first in the game.
Absolutely. And
which is really big because they've made comebacks before. But team that is capable of that with their shot calling, it's really big to just consider what happens when they get ahead, and the shot calling just becomes more of, you know, oh, we can just keep going.
Well, we have seen this progression from Final 5. Yes, they had a lot of trouble and were just edged out, but even in the end of the first game, they showed some heart there, and they were able to make some plays despite not able to close it out or really able to get back into it. But second game, they came back in the middle of it, they got control of the game, they closed it out beautifully, and this time they're starting with a lead, so it seems like they're progressively getting better, while Zenith has just been having trouble. And you can see, wow, Rux is just putting the hurt on Solo King. Yes, he's able to sustain through it, but still, he's a level up, and he's having trouble. Oh, not anymore.
Nope. But that's going to be the...
Oh, he does walk away from the cube.
Shorter Ace is
here, yeah. Solo King, he has to know this. Uh-oh, they're going all in for this one. The charge in from Rux, and they're going to find the Solo King, chop down the wood for the tree. That's why you picked Lumberjack Scion, I guess.
Oh, man, that's awesome. But at the same time, not so awesome for Zenith, because they lose the Solo King. They've picked on him every time in the early game. Shorter Ace just doesn't like him.
No, and now Rule 18... he's got to stop getting caught, but he will flash away from this one. There's the combination. They spend a lot, but they will be able to pick him up. Easy says, I want a little bit more gold in my pocket, and he's going to be able to get a little more damage onto that tower. Rockets coming in just to deter him. Make Mimo and Easy think twice. And you can tell, Prototype's never been afraid to just send a rocket out.
Yeah, a lot of them. Frost either. He has just thrown it out for some wave clear. That time they actually didn't get any wave clear or kill any minions under the turret. But it did some damage. It's going to allow them to know a little bit more about Mimo and how long he's going to stick around, because he wants to get this turret. But yeah, it's pretty low.
They should be able to closely answer. They're a little afraid of Shorter Ace here. Wow, Bolas flashes all around.
He's going
Easy
hard.
Could be in trouble. There's a teleport coming in for Solo King. They have Rux as well, and this is going to be a little bit of an interesting skirmish. Rux just zoning out, Solo King trying to do the same, but they might settle for it again, and this is one turret down all finally for a couple of minions, because at this point, you know, Zenith was like, all right, we'll let them do the job.
Yeah, Gate's been pushing as Twisted Fate in the top lane, and it's not really the best of split pushers, but he's been waiting on his Gate cooldown, his Destiny, to come back up.
Yeah, and he's been, you know, he did a pretty good job, a little bit mistiming with the final auto attack, but once you've already gone up there, you've gotten the kill, rather than walking back, yeah, get a little bit extra. All the same, Zenith was able to answer back. It was a hard-fought tower, and they're still a little bit behind, but they're not doing too terrible at defending these things, and Solo King is almost as tanky as Rux.
Rux getting himself just a tanky build on Sion. No extra damage, but maxing the Q first. Trying to wave clear with it, trying to, you know, during the fight, he wasn't getting many of them off, because it's very obvious that it's going to happen. You need some type of follow-up. Like if Shorter Race lands a root, an Ebola on him, then he's going to be able to just hit him with that right afterwards.
Well, they've been comboing up pretty well with the gold cards, so, you know, Gate and Shorter Race, again, we talked about this synergy. It has been absolutely there. Shorter Race on a champion he's incredibly comfortable with, too. I mean, there aren't so many strong Rengars in this tournament, but he's definitely among them.
Yeah, there's a couple Rengars. I want to see if Impaler actually whips that out later on.
And Nori as well.
Coast, and Nori is definitely one of the better Rengars in this tournament.
But yeah, Shorter Race making a name for himself here. He has done pretty solid so far, going with the standard Rengar build as well. Want to get those boots nice and quick, and he's looking for Mimo. They might collapse on him. Gets the jump, gets the Bola. They find Easy
Mimo.
Going in again, and they get it. One more shot is all it's going to take. With the ball, it wasn't going to be enough. Easy tried to combo up the rocket, though is going to fly wide to the left of the Solo King as Rux and he continue to duke it out. And yeah, this is like a battle of the ages.
Yeah, up in the top lane. And
there's Gate. Well, Gate's going to get involved. Join the party. You've got yourself a gold card. Let's see if he can chop down the tree one more time. He's going to try, but they don't know if Easy's there. They get another stun. He's been hitting those like crazy. He's got a little bit more damage, but Rux has to be careful. Gate incredibly squishy, and Solo King is going to get away, this time by the skin of his bark.
Yeah, Rux has no mana, so he wasn't able to contribute in that fight too much. He had his flash up. No ultimate. Well, no mana for the ultimate. The big part of that.
Yeah, that was really the key there, but they were making a very opportunistic call. Now you see Prototype going to be solo splitting on this bottom turret. Frost coming to try and push him off of that, but it's already halfway down, and that's a pretty solid play there for Final, just being able to find, again, little places you can poke down. This is what Zenith did game 1. Final 5 kind of had a more sensational strategy game 2, but this time it's kind of gone back to basics.
Yeah, they're 2K up, and last game we saw about the 17-minute mark, Zenith was up about 3K. So Final 5 are well on their way to having a better game last game in the early game than they've ever had in this series.
Yep. Now Prototype has to be careful. Oh, he did have the ward in that brush, so he was able to spot out K1, and you know, it wasn't going too far forward. But when you have champions like Sivir and Jinx that just trade back and forth endlessly, it's really hard to see. You rarely see those solo kills, but you never know. First person to make a mistake, slip up. Anyone can take advantage.
Yeah, at the same time, though, Prototype, he's always taking that Duelist Summoner spell. Oh, he got it.
Just on the edge of that one. Race able to clear away that ward. Again, the vision control has been absolutely phenomenal for both these teams throughout the series. And it's kind of gone back and forth a little bit. Who has had the better control? It usually has been the key to the game. But Zenith now looking to mass up towards the Dragon. They are thinking about this one. They know it's up. They had no idea it was taken last time, but they've certainly taken their time about this one. And it's going to be pretty obvious that they're in the area here, trying to get some vision cleared out before they go ahead and start for that one. But this does give time for Final 5 to get to the party.
Yeah, it's going to be a 5-on-5 here. It's a 5-on-5 comp versus, you know, Rux can start these fights very easily. And a lot of pick, a lot of CC from Final 5. That's what they have going for them. And Rule 18, he caught Frost. It's going to be a 2-on-1 here.
Who caught who?
Yeah.
Takes a little bit more Boomerang Blade action, the back of the head. But again, it seems like they're kind of playing chicken with each other. They want to say, oh, you make the first move. No, you make the first move. And whoever is making that first mistake will be the ones that get taken out, or at least so these teams think. Now, Zenith, okay, got a pink ward. We know there's some vision here. We're going to start this one off. They don't see the other ward in the Dragon Pit, so this is spied. Rux is going to start making a move. So is Gate. He has the Destiny available. Dragon is not being fired down quick enough for this one.
He's going to go.
And they're going to use it. Here they go. The jump in, the rocket, the combo. They're going to be making plays here, and that's Rule 18 actually getting the kill credit. Mimo jumping out the Monsoon, knock him out of his own Cataclysm, and Prototype is running wild. One more pickup on a Mimo. Gonna find Solo King, gets him a double kill, and Final 5 should be able to bag this Dragon as Rux just chases away the scattered remnants of Zenith.
That's such a good ultimate there from Rux to start it off because it made them panic, and then they filtered in on top of the 5v5 team composition. The way you fight it is you split up. It's a great composition for that. Rengar doesn't want to be on top of everybody. Twisted Fate wants to be on the outskirts. Then you have the disengage if they do engage on you, which worked out perfectly there for Rule 18. I really like what ended up happening there. And they got the dragon for themselves, too. It's a 5k gold advantage. Almost a 6k now when they take this turret.
Big plays for Final 5, and they just waited for Zenith to fall right into the trap. They didn't need direct vision. They had one right on that, so they perfectly timed it. And yeah, Rux, that ultimate was incredible.
And a big part of why that fight went the way it did was the fact that Easy didn't get his ultimate off.
Yeah.
He was the first person picked off in that fight. His ultimate, as he died, looked like it was about to go off. But he wasn't able to get any positioning on it. Locked up, stunned, focused down. Really, really good target prioritization there from Zenith. Because who else is going to do a lot of damage to your team? And look at that. Oh,
okay.
Oh.
Ghost as fast as you can. He still doesn't have the flash up, but he's running. And yeah,
Wow.
Mimo and Solar King can't quite catch him, so it's his lucky day.
Oh, that was really good. He just went up to the left a little bit and dodged Mimo. And Solar King, there was a nerf to Maokai's range on his Twisted Advance a long time ago.
Little things sometimes make the
things.
difference. And yeah, going back to that fight though, I think it was interesting Prototype. They tried to combo up as much AoE while they had them grouped like that, because while Shorter Ace was engaged in tearing Easy's face off, they had everyone locked up for a brief moment, and the Rocket, not for assassination, they didn't really need it, just kind of came in and made sure, okay, we can soften these guys up and then we can pick them off one by one. Really, really methodical play from Final 5 there.
Final 5 are doing a really good job. They have a 6k gold advantage. Now it's 16 minutes. They've gotten every dragon this game. They've kind of woken up, and they're probably sitting there going, oh, praise the Lord, it's a best of 3.
Yep.
Because that first game was really bad by them in terms of playing their win conditions. Game 2, they had a much better time coming back, but the first half of the game was still really sloppy. This game, the start, the fact that Shorter Ace is on a very comfortable champion for him is something that teams in the future are going to have to look at. You're going to have to pay respects to Shorter Ace, maybe a little bit more than Zenith has, and say, we can't let him have anything.
Yeah. Also, this game, you've noted how Prototype and Rule 18 in particular have been a little bit more cautious in their positioning. They've not tried to go far out here, but here we go, having a Destiny game.
Oh,
wow, he flashes away from the bubble, but it's still looking a little bit rough for them now. Gate, the Monsoon is out, but how long can he stand this one? Shorter Ace going to try to answer back. Rocket coming in, Prototype going to pick up Frost. Shorter Ace going to get himself a spree kill, and they really are able to just out-muscle and out-maneuver with superior numbers. I could not believe the quick turnaround time there for Final 5.
Flash the bubble. Cataclysm came out on top of him, and then they were immediately just to turn it around. Rux TPs in, uses his ultimate Unstoppable Onslaught to go straight towards that fight. Shorter Ace comes in from the top, the perfect flank from this composition. It does a little bit of everything, and they're just making their team fights just a little bit of everything.
Every single time they've come out like this, and it has just got to be so worrying for Zenith. 8,000 gold down right now. They have to find a means back into this game, but how do you do that? Gate by all means should have been dead twice over.
Big help there from Rule 18, though.
Absolutely. The Monsoon saved his life big time, even if it wasn't able to knock. Well, it knocked his opponents away just enough out of range for him to be able to get away from that. But yeah, the Cavalry arrived. Again, Final 5 are playing this team out, these team fights out so incredibly well, and they're not getting out of position as much.
Yeah, Gate locked in a blue card, too, during all of that panic. He's like, oh, God!
Everybody gets one.
Oh, but... would have been a little safer if it had been a yellow card, but it didn't matter in the end. He's still doing really well for himself.
The fact that he flashed at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, what a momentous single mechanical play.
Yeah, he's doing really well for himself, too. Most gold in the game. You know, that is kind of granted with Twisted Fate's passive as well, on top of everything. But he's doing a really good job. And Gate is a guy that he's always kind of been a middle-of-the-pack and uneventful player. And he also has some nerves when he's in high-pressure situations, just like Shorter Ace a tiny bit. So, you know, the team has been a little worried about him, but he's definitely stepping up and showing it, and he's having a great game.
And the Twisted Fate strategy, again, paying dividends. I think they're even surprised that they got the Rengar this time, but they really are making the most of it. Shorter Ace comboing up with him so effectively well. Yeah. He has participated in 90% of the kills this game.
Yeah, and the fact that he also... well, he's 100% kill participation for himself.
No, you're right. I can't math either.
Sorry. Gate has had 100%.
Gate's got 100%. That's true.
Shorter has 90. You're right.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, sorry. I was about to focus on the mid laners, so I was looking at that. Anyway, Easy. They took away that Orianna first pick they gave Shorter Race the Rengar. And then Gates saying, I have more champions in my pool, but that don't matter. Look at this. They're going on.
Chasing down Rux now.
Not a lot of catch potential, though.
Yeah, I mean, he's still tanking this up,
Run
and
away.
he's going to use his ult. Goodbye. Yeah, I'm not really sure why they did that, but an ult for an ult. Meanwhile, 3 members of Final 5 are just poking down this turret to death. At this point, Zenith, they seem to be looking for anything they possibly can. Last time they were doing that, they were in the lead. They were grabbing everything in the jungle. This time, they're on the back foot, and they're just scattered.
Yeah, the only way they were going to be able to pick anybody off with that Sivir ultimate as a chase was if they had Maokai running the charge in the front, or they had Jarvan as well. Like, that's something that they didn't have. Jarvan was a little bit off to the left, and the Solo King, he wasn't there at all.
Rux isn't the target for that either. I mean, he has so many ways to get away from that,
Flash,
and he can sustain. Incredibly. So in the end, they traded a Sivir ulti for a Sion one, and all that's really going to do is delay the next team fight.
It's really big, though. Look at this. 20 minutes in, already this type of gold advantage for Final 5. They are looking in prime shape right now, and there's 5 seconds on the Dragon, and you know they're going to show up to that one this time. They kind of woken up since that first game. They just kind of shook themselves off and said, no, we can do this.
Yeah, that turnaround. And we talked about teams that have nerves. I mean, they have recovered absolutely beautifully from that game number 1. It may have took them a little bit longer in game number 2, but look at them lead the charge now. This Dragon should be easily in their pockets. No vision here. Zenith thinking about Baron, but they won't be able to poke it down just yet. It's only 20 minutes into this game, and yeah, as you mentioned, a massive gold lead, over 10,000.
And there's something about Final 5 that, you know, I've talked to their managers and stuff, but at the same time, big part of their team isn't just the players on the field, it's their managerial staff. It's the coaches, the people that take care of them. You know that after that first game, they had a conversation, and they allowed them to calm down, just said what you have to do in this next game, and how to play. And I know that the reason it's called the Final 5 is because they've gone through so many different people looking for the right players. And they don't focus on just talent and like who's really mechanically good at the game. They focus on, is this player coachable? Do I want them on my team? And then they kind of make a musical band together because they just cover each other's weaknesses.
Yeah. They also all participate in the shot calling too. You know, Rule 18, he's a pretty talkative guy in comms. Prototype, he likes to talk about the fights. Shorter Race, he's the one who determines where they look for buffs and when. And it is kind of a community effort. And as you mentioned, the coaching staff is kind of there as well. It is sort of like a band.
Yeah. And then Rux is there saying, calm down, everyone.
Yeah. When just to make sure that they're not getting too far ahead of themselves. So Rux, meanwhile, is going to try and make sure nobody gets anywhere near this Baron. He's kind of the gatekeeper right here. But they're still keeping this map pressure up. And anywhere Zenith wants to move, they're not going to be able to do it without being seen. Destiny Gate is
he's going over.
They're going to look for Mimo. Jump in the pit. Okay, I'll fight you. You're not trapped. I'm not trapped in here with you. Well, not anymore. Nobody's trapped anywhere.
Yellow card.
Oh, and he's going to be able to polish that one off. One more shot will do it. So now Easy is in a little bit of trouble, but Shorter Race thinking twice about going over that wall. They'll be happy with the fact that they picked off the jungler for now. Solo King actually has to back, and this strategy didn't work for him last game either.
Yeah, they keep picking off Mimo. 0-4, and then that allows them to get some objectives and some pressure off back. Look at this Rux, he's going to go straight through.
They do not need the towers. They're going to
No
try.
breaks.
Oh, couldn't go anywhere. They're going to get the tidal wave out, but Gate, the shock wave going to connect. Gate's going to get his Zanyas on. Solo King tanking up everything he can. Gate's pretty low right here. Monsoon is out. Rule 18 trying to get the disengage. The tower is half down. Should be finished, but they get a shutdown goal. Prototype, and they just got a little bit too greedy there. And talk about being hasty and maybe getting your nerves up in a bunch. I think Rux might have been the one making that call here, and he may not live this one. That's easy taking him down.
That's an extremely questionable. Is he going to get a
maybe
kill,
not.
though?
I forgot about that.
Oh!
He can come right back on up. Almost picked off Solo King before his second life ended. And speaking of second life, Gate, this guy, again, how many times has he almost died?
A lot. It's been a lot. He's died one time. He's almost died like twice, maybe 3 times at this point.
So his almost KDA is really, really bad.
Yes, it's almost KDA. Hey, man, my almost KDA in a lot of games is usually really good. I'm like, they got away with 10 HP every time.
I'm sorry. Oh,
Flash down.
Shorter Race. Sneaky, sneaky. He thinking if he can pick someone off, the rocket's not going to come down on anybody, though. Shorter Ace in a 1v3 just realized his mistake. He almost gets Frost, though. Oh, in the end, though, it's a shutdown as well as a tower. So Frost got to be happy about that one, and Zenith wrestle a little bit more gold back into their pocket.
That's some K1 to the rescue there. But the ebb and flow for the heal is really big coming up.
Good
and
timing.
the shields from Easy. Like, that would not have been possible without that.
Yeah, I think at that point, Shorter Ace, he thought he maybe was a little more ahead than he was to take the 1v2. I don't think he was going to be able to get away because they might have run into the brush, and, you know, so that was just the call that he made. Oh, maybe I can take down Sivir before I go.
Yeah. He also didn't use his ultimate, so he didn't gain another 5 stack of ferocity afterwards. So he was using it just to try and blow him up and try to save the turret, but nope.
well, we've seen comebacks in these series so far. It would be a tall order for Zenith right now. This is one of the bigger deficits that either team has faced for a while early on. It is only 24 minutes. It feels like a later game at this point, the way that they're playing it out. And when Baron starts to be contestable, it's going to get scary because any mistake by either of these teams could, you know, send them over the cliff.
Yeah, really, Zenith just has to stop going into their Disney collection and whipping out Finding Nemo because, man, he's getting caught over and over again. It's just allowing objectives and things to fall into Final 5, and then they dictate the next fight.
Every single time, yeah. And, you know, a lot of these setups in all these games have been off the back of catches. Last time it was Rule 18. In this game, he's really stepped up his positioning. You can also tell Final 5 are grouping much better for warding. That in and of itself is an objective, and they're starting to treat it that way. So, again, it's like these teams are leveling up as they're playing.
For Final 5, yes.
Yes.
Zenith?
Not so much for Zenith. They're having a little bit of trouble, I agree.
I think that their pick ban every game has been okay. Like, they have win conditions set up for themselves. But then this game, like, the Solo King's not on the front lines when they're using the Sivir ultimate. There's a lot of things that end up happening with the Jarvan pick that aren't optimal before the fight starts. And the catch.
Finding Nemo once again, and that short race is going to be getting that.
They saw that coming too.
Yeah.
There's a pink ward right there. They saw him stealth.
They didn't react in time. And you know, with the pick off here, it may be a little early for this one, but they could eyeball the Baron, and it looks like that's what they're going to do. There's no vision here for Zenith, and yeah, this is totally blind. They've got no Smite Steal available, and the damage with the Jinx is so incredible, and a Rengar. I think they can do this.
They caught Mimo again.
Yep.
Yeah, they just got to stay out of the Disney collection. Just
once again, yeah. Well, this time they're going to take themselves a Baron.
Yep.
There's another nice trophy for Shorter Race, getting that one, and the teleport, rather the gate coming out, and even on top of that one, Gate is going to be able to answer a little bit more. Rux wasn't even needed for that. He was just splitting in the bot side. Masterful play for Final 5.
And I want to go back to like game 1. Nemo was picking on Shorter Race with the help of Easy, and I love that composition. I love the synergy between them. And then they're like, okay, he'll get Nocturne. So like Shorter Race adjusted. Said, I didn't have a good game on that champion. Swaps it over to Nocturne. Boom. Has a really successful game, mid-game through just diving in. Then, this game, they give him Rengar, and he's like, I'll take Rengar. That's kind of like Zenith getting a free dragon. You're just like, oh, yep, free dragon, I'll take that. It's like, free Rengar. Yes, sign me up, please. And I would like to have a subscription to that.
They get both, actually, a free Rengar and a free dragon. So this time, another one going over to Final 5. More gold in their pockets, still up very, very much, and it even evens out some of the issues that they had dealt with earlier on. But you talked about Mimo and you know what's been going on with him this game. He is that player that makes a lot more of the solo calls on his own. He has that more solo queue-esque mentality, and this time it's really biting him behind.
Yeah, it was biting him last game too on the Jarvan. I think the Jarvan pick is something that is not as comfortable as his top-tier champion pool picks. Like, definitely the same story though for Shorter Ace.
But they really haven't been able to combo up as well as they've wanted to. I mean, you've seen like Cataclysm, Shockwaves, but they've been saving them on and only using them on one target. They haven't really been able to get as much as Final 5 has been able to get out of their own composition. And that's not just why this lead is as big as it is for Final 5, but that's a big part of it.
A lot of it, like you said, the Shockwaves, the Cataclysm combos. It's a 5v5 team composition, and it's not just always just having 5 members show up sometimes. It's who are you focusing? How many people are you hitting with the Shockwave? How many people are you getting in the ultimate? Who's the person that you're actually locking down? A lot of that is the shot calling. A lot of that is also Easy having to lock them up himself. So the ball delivery, you know, they have it, but you have to get on the right people. You have to, and the thing is, Final 5, they're playing around that. They're spreading out. They're 1-3-1 right now. Even when they had grouped up team fights at Dragon, they were just kind of making skirmishes. They're like, 2 people are on your left, 1 person's above you, and 2 people to your right. So you're going to Shockwave at most 2 people, right? They set him up for that. And I absolutely love that play from Final 5.
Yep. And now they continue to try and get a little bit more everywhere they can. Prototype on that Jinx has been able to fire down objectives as fast as they need him to. And the split with Rux continues. Solo King and he, they seem fated to clash almost continuously this entire series.
Shorter Ace clearing out some wards, giving himself some control of this jungle so that he can go back and forth between bottom and middle and help catch people out. Because Twisted Fate has tons of gank assistance, which we saw in the early game when he got him those 2 kills.
Yeah, but they're forcing everyone to run in all directions, really, and that's going to net Prototype a tower. They're looking at the inhibitor turrets now. Look at all that damage just with the rockets he's able to do, and look at the knock-up as well.
It's tough.
Zenith can't get involved in this one. There's so much zone potential, and yeah, you never know when Gate's going to make it a numbers advantage for this team.
Yep, and this team does a little bit of everything. I'm going to say it again. They can split push, they can team fight, and right now they're going 1-3-1. And when you're up against a team fight composition that you have disengaged on your side, it's basically like, Zenith, you want to group as 5 and fight the 3 and just gank them, then you might lose 2 turrets on the sides. And then it's not worth. And then you might lose one of those people. But at the same time, what's going to happen in this case is you're going to have Flame Choppers come down, you're going to have some zoning, you're going to have some backup, and then you're going to have Janna ultimate people away. Yeah. That's like the big thing. You can't 5-on-3 this team. You'll end up just getting like 1 person. And then you'll lose 2 turrets.
So it's almost like there's very few situations that Zenith can come out ahead in this one, and you can see that playing out right here. They're doing everything they can. Now, they have gotten a little bit cocky in the past. You saw them running in with the Scion charge earlier on. That really didn't work out for them as much, but they've recovered pretty beautifully from that. But again, Baron buff might be off. Even so, Final 5 not giving up the siege.
No, not at all. Bucks, he's actually going to tank a little bit of it up. Just put his toe in the water, see how cold it is. Yeah, okay. No, he's like, well, am I tanky? Yeah, I'm tanky.
I'm pretty sure he can't feel anything since he's dead, but metaphorically speaking,
hopefully he feels that groove. Look at him.
Oh yeah, he can dance. Dead can dance. And he's going to be pushing on this with the rest of his team. They've got the wave clear with Jinx. Anywhere they send Prototype, they're going to be able to make some plays. Rule 18, got to be careful though. He doesn't have anywhere near those stats. So now Dragon is 2 minutes away. It is 31 minutes into this game. Final 5 looking to crack this shell, but it's proven to be a little bit tough. Zenith, they have been able to defend so far.
Yeah, their wave clear is really reliant on easy. They can have a little bit in Sivir, but it's a little risky against this team composition.
Just a little bit.
Ooh, Final 5, they have like engage, disengage, pick. They do a little bit of everything, which is actually really hard to pull off. Like, your shot caller needs to make the right calls at the right time. You're like, all right, this is the part in the game where we have spikes that we should be picking people off. This is when we should be fighting. We have enough of a lead, we should be team fighting them. Like, things like that. Like, it's really, you have to be familiar with what everybody does in your composition, how they round it out.
Right.
So I really like what they've been doing this game. And it's a 13k gold advantage. It's 12.6. Really getting out of hand here for Zenith. And Final 5 are just kind of edging away. And the thing for Zenith, they do have an AoE team fight comp, but it's going to be really tough for them to pull it off correctly against this team in the way that Final 5 are playing.
Yeah, now Prototype, even by himself, is able to really make a lot of things happen. They've got Gate continuing to push down on the bot side as well, but again, they just keep extending this lead because they're forcing Zenith not to leave their base. And it's almost the same opposite, really, story of what we saw in game number 1. And the gold lead just extends further and further away, and maybe the reversal can happen at any time. You never know with an Orianna Shockwave, but it's getting harder and harder for that possibility to even happen. Baron's going to be up in less than a minute, and if you don't leave your base, how can you contest it?
Yeah, the Orianna Shockwave, I don't know how much it'll do at this point, because Prototype, he's just going to play so far back, and then he'll get healed up by Rule 18. Rule 18's been doing a good job of not getting picked off this game. As Janna, he had like one little slip-up, and that was it. Otherwise, he's perfectly fine this game. He's been doing a really good job. But you're not going to be able to blow up that Scion. You blow up the Scion, he still comes back for a little bit. He has the shield for himself. The Rengar shorter ace. Last game, he was playing Nocturne. He didn't give a damn. He jumped straight in, and he's like, I'm dead. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, and this time he's been able to get out alive as well, building a little bit more tanky. That Dragon, absolutely free, picked up there, and they even used the smite. So Baron's up in a couple of seconds, and they are eyeballing it, but see if they can get the pressure on. They have the vision control about 70% of the map, and they know they can just start this one up. Gate, blue cards it away, and they're going to be going for this one. Again, Zenith, where could they possibly be, guys? Oh, I don't think we want to check that. That Baron's going down quick.
Yeah, you can see how comfortable Shorter Ace is on this Rengar. He knows the timer that he gets that little half second when he exits a bush to jump, because he jumped from the bush on the backside of Red Buff right over there to the right to the Dragon Pit. And then he jumped from the one inside onto the Baron. Like, he's really good at that champion. He understands where he can jump from and where he can leave and how long he has on that.
Yeah, he makes it look easy. Not so many Rengar players are capable of doing stuff like that as well.
Well, just an example, if you're going to jump from that bush to Dragon, you have to not just click the Dragon, you have to click the right amount to get towards the wall, and then you jump the wall by clicking on the Dragon very quickly afterwards, because you have this half-second window where you have to move, jump.
Sounds more difficult than a Rumble ulti.
It's, well, no, Rumble ulti is really difficult. Rumble ulti is really difficult.
And then that's not even talking about if you smartcast it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yep. It's tough.
Most people don't.
Nobody's worried about this game. They banned Rumble quite a lot this time, but you know, we talked about the top lanes a lot and how much they were focused this time. You can see why. The impact that both the Solo King and Rux have had in this series is really hard to understate. And Rux has been getting the better of Solo King when he's not helped out.
Yeah, and the Solo King, though, he just keeps getting picked on by the shorter ace in these last 2 games that have led to victories for Final 5. So when Rux gets a little bit of that extra oomph in the early game, he's able to just carry himself through it and be a big boon for his team. And a big tank. And also, at the same time, when you're looking at these top laners, they're both very tanky, they're both very durable, but then shorter ace, he's going to try to tear through that alongside Prototype. These 80 carries, they're getting kind of fed too.
Yeah. Frost actually tanks that. Yeah, that was a bit of a misplay there, but they've drawn 3 members, and now Prototype really team kind of cautious to check into this one. Will they be able to take this 1-3-1 to a tower at some point? Gate's looking for it. He's able to clear pretty effectively, but there's Solo King in his sights as well. Now shorter ace trying to wait and bait and see if he can get somebody to come out here. Zenith looking for anything they can, but they're playing so cautiously. Don't want to give up that kill that will cost them the game.
And Rux just tanking it up.
Yeah, he's not worried about it.
Straight into that turret. Chop it down like it's a log.
What is a tower to a lumberjack?
He's as tall as the tower. He's just basically staring into it.
That is a big model. Now, Mimo is going to try to chase him away, but, you know, it's kind of like, are you scared of me? And I feel like Rux is approaching that point where he's not really afraid of anyone.
I was just sitting there, and you said that's a big model. I'm like, would you call him a plus size?
I would say 2XL.
It's a plus size model. You work it, Scion.
Yep, well, there he goes.
He's going straight for it. He's going to tank it,
he's
too.
He's going to do it. Yeah, it doesn't even worry about the vengeful Maelstrom on, although he might worry if Mimo comes in here. Shorter ace actually being targeted out, getting the cage, flashing away, going invis and see if he can get out of that one, but Solo King and Mimo don't want to risk it.
Push.
Meanwhile, yeah, the turret goes down. They forgot all about Prototype. He's getting on the inhibitor now, so they got what they wanted. They've still got the Baron buff. They're looking for more. Gate's got the Destiny on, and they might want to fight this one out. All 5 members there. The inhibitor is down, and they're just going to get out of town.
It's the split push. Like I said, even if you fight the 3 or the couple of members that are on that side, you get damage on top. Gate, he went to that top lane turret, shoved it out, then he went middle, helped them get the inhib, and then he's like, oh, look at this minion wave that's conveniently here.
Yeah, it's just, really, they have so many options. So many choices of what they can do, and there's not much left for Zenith.
Oh,
now here comes Rux from the backside, the flank, they find easy. They find Solo King, the Rockets in, shorter ace is in trouble though, and he goes down to Frost, who's able to run away from this one. This fight's going haywire, but K1 having to flash away. They're going to be running back to Fountain, and if Solo King can't even make it, Shockwave going to connect, but even so, it is a 1-for-1 shorter ace for Solo King, and they lose yet another inhibitor. Final 5 is taking this one all the way in. 2 inhibitors down. They're eyeballing the third. Oh wait, what's this? They're eyeballing the Nexus now.
Man, where's Rivington when you need him? On the backside.
It literally was appropriate this time, and they are going to be looking for that final turret, but maybe they'll find some kills first. K1, he could go down. Gate gets himself a Zanya's Hourglass on. So much damage, so much sustain, and they've got nothing left in the tank. The Nexus is bare. Mimo, he could be in trouble. Down he goes. It's a double kill for Prototype. That Nexus is gone, and it's going to be Final 5, taking game number 3, and moving on
to round 2, where they will have to play against Complexity Black.
Yeah, that's going to be tough, but if they can play like that, they may just have a chance. What an incredible control game in that third set.
Yeah, I really like that they played their win conditions in both of them. Like that time they didn't go, oh, we should just 5v5 them all the time. They were like, oh, let's do a little bit of everything. So shorter ace really being on that Rengar that he's really comfortable with was the story of that game for me, because he set up Gate very early on. Got him that level 2 gank, shut down Easy a tiny bit, and then just continued to allow that to snowball. Gate ended the game, I think, 3-1 and 11, having a lot of kill participation and a lot to say in every single fight as Twisted Fate, alongside his extra wave clear. So it's like, oh yeah, we can split push with Rux through 2 members, and then he can go do something else. Like Prototype and him, right on the same page. I loved that game from Final 5. Zenith, they had a really good game 1. They can hold their heads high for that one. Game 2, like it's really funny because each team kind of won 1.5 games. They won game 1, and then they won like half of the early game. Like they won half of game 2, and then, you know, of course, if you blow up the Nexus, you actually win the game. So the second half of the game was Zenith eSports, or sorry, it was Final 5, and then they won the last game too.
Yeah, it was a fairly even effort, but you could see that when one team kind of waned, the other one waxed. It was a back and forth, and what they managed to do at the end of the day, Final 5 just had the better fight. They had the better plays, and they were able to avoid getting caught up in whatever Zenith wanted to throw at them. And also, you can't give rank up to short race.
Yeah,
you just
I think they outpicked themselves in Game 3 for Zenith because they first picked the Orianna. It's not like there's a lot of options there for Gate. I don't know how familiar they are with him. But at the same time, Mimo forced himself onto Jarvan because of that. When their entire strategy, Games 1 and 2, was take away Rengar, Lee Sin. Game 3, they banned Nocturne because they were like, Game 2, his Nocturne was scary because he was diving you guys with the divey composition. And so they kind of gave up that, and they got themselves like a Maokai, Orianna. It was just something that was a little all over the place. And I think that the pick ban phase for Final 5 was better, and then they played the composition better than what Zenith did.
Yeah, absolutely. So at the end of the day, they'll move on. They'll be facing off against Complexity Black, and of course, that's going to take place not right now, in a couple of days, next week, actually. So that being said and done, we have quite a lot of matches to go, but what a long set that was, and how back and forth. It was so even. It was such a long time.
Man, if you love League of Legends, you got to love that set.
Oh, yeah. Incredible. And, you know, the leads may have changed, but the teams really, really gave it their all. And that was the middle of the pack of these challenger teams. This is one of the most competitive fields we've had for this expansion tournament. I think it's coming at the perfect time.
Yeah, that was seed 6 and 7 from the ranked 5s ladder. So they made a case for themselves. And actually, Final 5 was 7. So they were the underdogs coming into this just slightly. They came out on top with the help of, you know, Shorter Ace and Rux and Gate stepping up. And Prototype doing his thing. Rule 18, he ended up in that last game, you know, being in the right place at the right time when they needed him, saving Gate multiple times. He got caught in Game 2 a bunch, but he didn't let that affect his mentality coming into Game 3. And they even won Game 2 as well.
Yeah. Not only that, but with the getting caught award, pretty much went over to Mimo at the end of the day. He had some serious trouble, even when he saw it coming. Yeah. And that solo queue mentality will burn you every single time in high-stakes matches like this.
It's just one of those things that, you know, we saw nerves go back and forth between the teams as well. We saw that Shorter Ace, he was having a hard time. Mimo put a lot of pressure on him. Gate was kind of having a little choke moment every now and then. But then Game 3, they came out of it. They were fine. Shorter Ace was making really good calls on objectives. They set themselves up from the start with that. And then Gate was having a really good game too. So Rux, you know, I think he has a lot to do with that, keeping the team calm and keeping them centered. So
yeah, pretty big plays out of that team. And I think once they did collect those nerves, you could see that there was a physical change there. It happened at some point before Game 2, but they really didn't fully recover until the middle of Game 2 when they started picking up the pace. And, you know, the comeback, any team that can do that has a lot of confidence riding into Game number 3, and you could see Zenith was just on the decline, and they kind of fell back into bad habits.
Yeah, I really, you know, big props there to Final 5 for that set, whereas Zenith, you know, they did put up a really good fight, and they looked really strong at the start. But then it was really Final 5 not playing to their win conditions as a team, as a composition as well. That really, they picked pretty much the same comp in Game 2, and they were like, oh, this is how you play this type of composition. So it worked out for them.
Yeah, big time. So they will be moving on, as we mentioned, and we have a couple more sets going on today. You can look at the next match that is going to be taking place in just a few moments. It is, of course, going to be Complexity White taking on Monster Kittens. And then, of course, after that, we still have Coast taking on Call Gaming. So we have plenty of matches more coming up for you today, but we'll be taking a quick break for that. And when we return, that next match